What's good, y'all? Gotta talk about the big news from today. Over a couple hours ago, #1 player in the country, #1 player in the state of Tennessee, #1 player everywhere. Jared Curtis is a UGA Bulldog. Yes, he is. Chose them over Ohio State, Alabama, Texas, and Oklahoma. Says, I'm home, go Dogs, via Hayes Fawcett of On3 Sports. Let's break it down. So the interesting thing about Curtis actually is that he had a better freshman season. So he started as a freshman. He had a better freshman season than his sophomore season last year. 123.7 QB rate freshman year, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. This past year, 9 interceptions, 25 touchdowns. They had a 6-7 record overall. And his completion percentage dipped just a little bit. He had 58% freshman year and then 56% in his sophomore season. So I think the interesting thing is definitely he's the guy. But I wanted to see what kind of development he has from his sophomore to his junior year. Because that's really when you see guys take that big step forward. Already on the national recruiting scene, but what steps forward can he do in that? And as you guys can see, already has a bunch of touchdown passes, 52 over his course of his career, 4,835 yards. He's been doing this thing, averaging about 201 yards a game. But this is the year. I want to see Nashville Christian be able to compete and contend in the postseason, go and make a deep playoff run. They got the quarterback. Obviously, I don't know too much about their weapons, but I'm interested to see what kind of step he can take forward in his junior season coming up. I think what's interesting, though, and looking at 2025, guys, to let you guys know, got 3 quarterbacks that are high on Georgia's recruiting trails. You got Ryan Montgomery, you got Juju Lewis, and you got Matt Zollers. Now, Matt Zollers is very high on them. And as this tweet says, via Jeremy Johnson of On3 Sports, Georgia's working on a few key QBs in his class of 2025. They broke down some of the key targets. So I think it's interesting with this commitment because Georgia does not have a guy on the 2025 class committed yet. We know they're going to take a guy, right? Who the guy's going to be remains to be seen. But I think it's going to be interesting to see who goes because the player that goes, they're not going to be afraid of, obviously, competition, right? And knowing that this guy, Jared Curtis, obviously if he stays with his commitment through, because it's still early in the process, but if he continues with his commitment all the way through, right, they're going to have to battle through with him in practice, obviously. And as you guys all know with Georgia, probably going to be Carson Beck's last year. Ryan Puglisi is up next, and obviously you have Gunnar Stockton, right? So it's going to be real interesting to see the guy that commits shows that he's not afraid of obviously competing at all. He knows that he could be the top guy when it's his time. And obviously, I only bring that up, guys, because a lot of guys want to start their freshman year. Not saying that's going to be the case. Some people are going to have to wait. We're going to have to see how they develop going to the next level. But I think it's interesting to see what 2025 guy out of those 3, Montgomery, Lewis, Zollers, is going to commit to Georgia. I'm also interested, guys, as you guys all know, this is Juju Lewis with head coach Kirby Smart via Juju Lewis of the tweet. I'm curious to see, guys, because they've been very high on him. And they've been trying to flip him from USC to stay home in the SEC and stay at Georgia. He's been on campus so many times, has a really good relationship with the QB coach, obviously with Kirby Smart. Does this affect Juju Lewis in any kind of way with him committing Jared Curtis of Nashville Christian, him committing to Georgia? Does this affect his decision at all, or does he stay committed with USC? Because he has been going and visiting campuses at Georgia, at Alabama. How does this affect Juju Lewis's recruitment? And as you guys can see, right now, Georgia is doing pretty well in the recruiting class for 2025. They are just right outside the top 10, currently at number 11. Let's look real quick at some of the guys' commitments they have so far in 2025. All right, so I obviously got Big Justice Terry. I'm very high on him. I think he could be another Jalen Carter, potentially. Also, along with Jordan Davis, can come in there and be that kind of stable D tackle that they've been missing the last couple of years. Elias Williams, no introduction there, man. That kid's a stud. Plays for Camden County, plays both sides of the field. Is absolutely an elite athlete, 6'7", 235. Had a phenomenal year for them in the Wildcats. He can catch the ball. He's unstoppable. He plays basketball as well, has good hand-eye coordination. Kid's a stud. Jaden Parlati, I think he's underrated, man, to be honest. And obviously he's very heavily recruited, 4-star player. But what he can do, playing sideline to sideline, his ability to be able to make big hits, his ability to be able to play coverage at a high-end level, this kid should be a 5-star in my opinion. A lot of people are not going to say that, but Jaden Parlati really is that dude. Now, obviously, at the top, you got Ethan Barber, who just accepted, actually, his Under Armour All-American game invite, will be there. Plays for Alpharetta, was their second leading receiver this past year. More so, man, I mean, obviously he's a tight end, but in that offense with the Raiders, he plays more like a wide receiver. Honestly, he's really just that good. Then they recently got the commitment of Stephon Shivers from Humboldt. Excuse me if I'm saying that wrong, from Tennessee. 6'3.5", 355. One, go look at his highlight. One was a crazy play. He took it like 75 yards, man, with his weight and made it look easy, man. So the kid's a stud. He's gonna be real good, just shoring up their defensive tackle spot and things like that. He's really, really good. And then obviously Bo Walker just won the state championship with the Cedar Grove Saints, man. Next level, I definitely think Bo just fits their offense really well. Kind of is the prototypical running back that Georgia usually gets, man. So that's the overall class. As I said, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of happens. I mentioned Juju Lewis, but Georgia fans, you got to be excited getting the number one player in the country in the 2026 class. Obviously, that's another 2 years from now. Going to have to wait a little bit, but to have a top quarterback, if you can keep his commitment, you feel pretty good in the years going forward, man. And Georgia's been knocking it out the box, and that's my thoughts.